Hello, my name is John Rampinen. My traditional name is Nassafuk. I come from Nuu-chah-nulth Territory on the west coast of Vancouver Island. I've had the honor of being involved with the Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Indigenous Foods Network for 5 years now. It was actually formed directly after the first Vancouver Island Traditional Foods Conference, and after that conference there was a group of like-minded people from across Vancouver Island that came together and wanted to learn more and share more about Indigenous foods and food sovereignty in general on Vancouver Island. So immediately there was a network that developed and represented academics, professionals, health professionals, scientists, First Nations community members, food harvesters, etc. Many people started to come together and just to generally share knowledge and look at innovative ways to pass that knowledge on to future generations and to other communities.
Hi, I'm Ann Robinson, Ya'athat. I'm a Tishat woman, Tishat First Nation in Port Alberni on Vancouver Island. Tishat is a co-host in this 5th annual Traditional Foods Conference hosted here in Port Alberni at the Moss Gym. The Nuu-chah-nulth Tribal Council is also a co-host. Traditional foods and the importance and the value not only to the health of our people, but to the mental, the physical, the spiritual well-being of our people is very, very important and critical at this time.
So hi, I'm Fiona Devereaux.
And I'm Erin Rousel.
And we have worked for the Aboriginal Health Department with VIHA. And luckily with that department, they have allowed us to do a lot of outreach. And one of the biggest outreach projects has been the Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities Indigenous Food Network. And it's really just a network of like-minded people that have kind of come together to look at food sovereignty or Indigenous food issues. And really what that means is just how to get people connected, sharing, passing on the traditions, and learning more about Indigenous food issues, and also just the food and celebrating the culture that's tied to that food.
I think one of the best things about the conference is that we really try to work holistically with communities and then try to break down those silos around who's at the table for traditional foods. So we don't just have science around the table to talk about the issues of contamination of seafoods, but we have science, we have ecological knowledge, we have elders, we have youth, we have the digital stories from youth from around the island. And I think what we've heard feedback from communities is that it's quite a holistic way of looking at traditional foods and getting people at the table to break those things down so that we can all work on the issues together.
The Indigenous Foods Conference, this is the 5th time that we've hosted it. Very fortunately this year it's being held in Nuu-chah-nulth Territory. The previous years it was held South Island, and then last year North Island, and this year of course West Coast Vancouver Island. So it feels like we're coming full circle and that we've had an opportunity to interconnect all of the different intricacies and complexities and all those different pieces that make up the First Nations here on Vancouver Island. And so it really feels a lot fuller and wholesome to have the opportunity to have it here in Nuu-chah-nulth Territory. Of course, this year's theme is feeding the next generation, and so we've had an opportunity to hear many elders share their wisdom and insights on Indigenous foods, the importance of the diets that we have today as opposed to the diets that we had during traditional times, and looking at innovative and creative ways to reincorporate traditional diets on the palate of our young people especially. It's our youth today who suffer quite a bit. There's a lot of challenges out there in society that they face, whether they're native or non-native. So part of our approach is to recognize the importance of foods, the Indigenous foods that our people hold dear and that today we consider to have a medicinal value as opposed to the introduced foods, the unhealthy foods that many of our young people consume on a daily basis.
My name's Dr. Peter Ross. I'm a research scientist with Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and I've been really fortunate to have done a lot of work on marine pollution and studying killer whales and harbor seals and sea otters and a lot of other species of interest to many people in the coastal waters of British Columbia. These communities were very concerned about the issue of pollution, and a lot of these communities were very interested in a partnership that involved both science and traditional knowledge. And the science is irrelevant without the traditional knowledge, and yet a lot of the chemical concerns that we look at, the pollution concerns, do require modern day science. So we viewed this partnership as something that was going to be ultimately of benefit to the broader Aboriginal community. at large. And this has been a wonderful journey, and I hope it continues. Unfortunately, there's been a decision to close down all of the research and monitoring capacity of Canada's federal government in all three of our oceans. And this means that this kind of work will no longer be carried out by the federal government. There is an inferred transfer of this capacity to the private sector and to the university sector, but no plans to operationalize this, no research grant available. It's in that light that I have grave concerns about the implications of these decisions to terminate this program for Aboriginal communities and of course for marine wildlife. Things are going to change, and it's unclear to me how these changes will result in an ocean that we understand and an ocean that we're able to protect from unwanted pollution.
The organizers of this event are the Vancouver Island Coastal Community Indigenous Foods Network, and they have what they call pillars, and they have had consistently 4 pillars through each of their previous 4 conferences. And this year they added a 5th pillar of sustainability because it became obvious and critical that our access to our traditional foods is very limited, and for many reasons. One is outside regulations, such as provincial or federal regulations. Another is safe food. Is it safe with all of the pollutants that are in the waters, with the sprays that are used in the forest? And so there's a lot of concern, but this is a very happy event. I see a lot of happy people in there. I see people reaching out to each other, sharing good food. And
I think it's cultural. I think it happens whenever there's a big gathering of people. From what I've learned within the community, is the feast is what always brings people together. So whether it's a death in the community or a birth or a naming ceremony, but in this way it's actually used as a health promotion tool, which is beautiful.
what we're hearing a lot of at this time is the importance of our recognition of our right to our traditional foods, our right to access, our rights to harvest, our rights to manage our traditional foods. We're hearing a lot from elders at this conference about their experience in life from the time they were children, what their grandparents taught them. What's standing out strongly to me is that the whole value around the respect of the life that's given up so that we can live. Because human beings, we forget, we become so distanced from the life in the food that we eat. We lose respect for the life of the food that we eat because it is a living being. And what's coming out strongly that I'm hearing is the elders are reminding us that that thing that's feeding us had life, had a spirit, had a purpose, and that we need to respect that.